Olivia, I want to circle back real quick because you went to college. You are a college graduate. You already were kind of battling some of the naysayers and the be realistic minds of your
Mhm.
time. You decided at that point that you were going to take on painting. So
Yes.
during this time is when you worked at the nail salon in the
Mhm.
meantime? Okay, so
Yes.
can you bring us back to that kind of middle time there and what
Yeah.
happened from that transition onto where you are now?
I was working at the nail salon for 6 months. Instagram had just came out, and I'm very unhappy at the nail salon too. But it's one of the things that my family is familiar with. Vietnamese people are familiar with because it's just really easy under the table money that you can
Mhm.
make. But I just didn't have like this burning passion for it. Um, and because I was so quiet in college and I had just graduated, and I think like when you do grow older, I think I'm like 22 at the time, you grow a little bit more confidence in being vocal. And during my breaks at the nail salon, I would just doodle because it would just make me really happy. It would just make me like, I hate it here, but let me just do this just so that I can share with people online that I draw. And I felt like it was a good way of connecting, other than Facebook, right? Because Facebook just told us everything about people. But I we had Tumblr before we had Instagram, so I just kind of decided to show people like my artwork even
Mhm.
after college, and it was like people were like, they loved it and all that. And I remember like the moment that I would live for it just to hit 11 likes, because that was when you no longer saw people's names. And I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my
that's so true. I
God.
remember that. Oh my god, how funny.
It's so funny. It's so
Mhm.
funny. And I was like, oh my God, yay, 11 likes. And
Yes.
even from there, so I feel like when people followed me, and they followed me because they went to school with me, but then now I can tell they were following me because they were telling other people, oh, look, she draws really well. You
Mhm.
should see her artwork. She's an art major. And even during this time, I don't think a lot of people during that space, there weren't any prominent art positions or occupations that people can look towards
Right. Yeah,
and be
no.
exposed to and say, like, oh, wow, she's about to be the next so and so.
Right.
So I remember, so I was at the nail salon, and on Instagram, I probably got like 300 followers. And one of my followers was from Chicago. And because he was from Chicago, he reached out to me. He let me know that Big Sean was holding a contest. And he was just like, hey, Liv, Big Sean is having a contest where he's looking for creators to make new art covers for his album and material for his new clothing line. So I'm just like, oh my God,
Wow.
this is my shot. But mind
Mhm.
you, this I'm keeping this to myself. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is my shot. I'm just gonna like put out artwork of him, and he's gonna see how talented I am, and I'm gonna tag all his people and all that, and hopefully it'll work out. And mind you, all of this like little dibble dabble is on notebook paper. So I'm not even like really channeling.
Wait, what do you mean? What's on the notebook paper?
It's just drawings, right? It's just drawings. That's how I'm at first I'm doing the just like the emissions for the contest.
Okay.
And then I just saw like in my mind, and now this is the importance of taking marketing in college.
Mhm.
But I'm here, I'm just like, it's just not gravitating his attention. And I'm just like, what would make gravitate his attention? And I want to talk about God. So
Mhm.
I remember waking up one morning and just hearing like this voice. It's like a thought. It's like a loud thought, right? Where
Ooh.
just like it was like, go to the art store, go buy
Wow.
canvas,
That
go.
sounds like some divine
Oh my
inspiration you
God.
got.
And let me tell you, I woke up and I went straight to the AC Moore. I bought all these canvases and created like this grid like in my living room. And during this time, Instagram only had 15-second videos.
Okay.
So in my mind, I'm here, I'm just like, what can you do, Liv, that would like, grab this man's attention? And I thought to myself, if I was a celebrity, and let's just say there was a large painting of me, and I'm talking about like 6 by 7 foot painting of
Mhm.
me somewhere in America, right? I would want to know where it is. I would also want to know who did it, right?
Mm, my
But then,
gosh.
yeah, because people love scales. They love big,
Mhm.
large, massive scales. And I'm just like, okay, I was doing all these illustrations. It wasn't getting his attention. I'm going to do a big ass painting of him. He's gonna know. So I did it, and then one of the things too that I was learning in my marketing books, right, is
Mhm.
almost to create a stage, and they used Julius Caesar as a an example, and he was saying how like in a lot of like their tournaments and all that, like inside that colossal ring, like
Mhm.
people would put on a show, and they're just like, and they will always make the show like very engaging and all that. So even in the 15-second videos that I had, I made sure to make sure that my audience was a part of it, right? It's like, I'm gonna do this, but you guys are with me, you know, like, and we're gonna make this shit happen, you know, and like
Mhm.
I have personality for that. And I want to say it built even more with engaging with people, people that I didn't know. And these people, 300 people, are probably all from Connecticut. So,
Mhm.
like, we probably all went to high school or college together, but they're tuned in. They're
Yes.
tuned in every step of the way. And then, even then, they're just like, hey, I know his barber. Here, tag his barber.
Wow.
His mailman, tag his mailman. I know his mom. I went to, yeah, yeah. And so I go and I
That's
finish the
amazing.
painting in about 11 hours. And even then, right, I'm in this space, right? Where,
Wow. You did it all in one day?
yeah, I did it all in one day.
Oh my
And
goodness. You were documenting it.
the whole entire
When
time.
you're saying you brought them along, you brought them along.
Yeah, the whole entire time. And this is
Wow.
almost, to be honest with you now, this is almost 10 years ago. This
This
happened.
and this is so fascinating to me because this is also like how that kind of style has emerged now in so many areas when it was not that was not the norm. That was not how people were really using
No,
Instagram back then. Like
no.
you were
And
ahead
now,
of the marketing curve in
my
terms
God,
of a creative showing their creative talents
thank
and
you.
combining it with marketing.
Oh my, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you so much for saying that, because like there were conversations where like it's really hard to have those conversations without sounding like conceited or arrogant or vain, right? But you want to
No,
show
it's
people,
just the facts. It was what it was. No one, you were
yeah,
not looking at anyone else. The thousands of reels that are now available, the thousands of
that everyone
TikToks that are
does
now, you just copy
it.
paste. Yes, no.
It's almost like I want to go back and like share. I don't know if you follow Bretman Rock.
Oh my gosh, I love
Oh
him.
my
Oh,
gosh,
what
I
a
love
fantastic
you too.
example of
And
somebody following their
right.
whatever they want to do.
And so I have his book, and in his book he explains it really well, and this is exactly how I feel. And he
Okay.
always says, do not be discouraged by the algorithm now, do not be discouraged by the reels. He's like, but I understand, because we are the people that were the first to do it or to put
Mhm.
ourselves out there, and now everyone's just putting themselves out there. But it's
Yeah.
just like we started something really off of faith and not giving a fuck about what people thought about us. So it's just like it's
Mm.
interesting to see now when people are just out there now crying on video, or they're talking about mental health, or they're talking about this, and I'm like, man, I was doing this 10 years ago. I didn't get this type of play.
And I
I
didn't
didn't get
get no
this type
sponsor. I'm not getting all this
of
stuff. What
right now.
where's
These,
my check?
right now, these people are millionaires, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and if I start to even do it now, I'm generic, like
Right. Yeah, exactly.
right.
No, you've been doing this, Liv. Absolutely. I can attest for it. It's just so fascinating to hear it now. You saying it to me now. I'm like, that was revolutionary for its time. So,
Thank
and
you.
clearly I'm assuming this story ends in a way where this worked. This
It did.
divine
Oh my
inspiration you got, you
god.
acted on it. And just before we go, I just want to really point out really quick to our audience so we don't lose this in
Mhm.
Olivia's story. I that divine inspiration, she listened to herself. She listened to that
Yeah.
voice. I think there's so many times where people do get inspiration. I
Mhm.
know I've gotten inspiration before and then I haven't acted on it.
Yeah.
And because there might be a fear, there might be something like, "Oh, I can't do
Too
that,"
many
you know?
questions in your head.
Yes, we talk ourselves
I
out of it. "How
do.
exactly am I gonna do this? Blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Olivia followed this divine inspiration, and that is what any book on manifestation and the law of attraction, and if if you believe in a higher source, whatever you want your point to be, they
Mhm.
all direct to listening to that and then acting upon it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so let's just go ahead then. So you're doing this painting, you get this
Uh,
inspiration to make it large, you're using the knowledge from your past, which is another great point because a lot of us may sometimes think, oh, I went to school for this, but I'm not even doing it now.
Yep.
There is always going to be information that you think might not be connected in some way that will
That will
benefit you.
tie in.
And
That will tie
yes,
in what you
every
need to do.
experience, every class, every, whatever, every job experience. You could be a cashier. I was a cashier at McDonald's, and that helped me. I was in the front window of the cashier, and I used to hate
Mhm,
being back there. And
mhm.
then I look back and I'm like, that really helped me like work on my people skills and work
Yep.
on my enunciation and whatnot. Like I literally was saying hello to everybody and taking everybody's order. Like,
Mhm.
don't discount any of your past experiences for
Yep.
helping to give you some tidbit of information that you are going to need and appreciate in the
Agreed.
future.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, okay. So, yeah. So, with that being said, so people are getting engaged, which I
Yeah.
think is another great point you brought up here that even though you didn't have a considered large following at the time, you had an extremely engaged and committed following, which I think creatives who are interested in following these shoes need to remember that too. It is
Mhm.
not about your numbers, it is about your engagement and how much people are actually connected to you that will bring
Yeah.
you further.
Yes.
Thus, these people wanting to help Olivia, tagging these people in Big Sean's life. I can't even imagine how he's getting inundated from different points of his life, people
Oh
in
my god.
person telling him, do you know that, this person's doing this? So take us from there, Olivia. What happens next?
So I finished the painting, and I remember, what's it called? It just getting like a lot of love, right? And I
Mm,
want to tell you, like, God, like even like the most like when I finished that painting, like the most likes that I've ever seen on that painting was probably like 300 likes. Where I'm like, wow, this is
mhm,
so amazing
mhm.
because I'm so young at that point,
And you're
and
still appreciative of it though. Like you're
oh my
still
god, I'm appreciative of anything
yes,
I
that
get.
is a huge thing too. I'm sorry that I keep interrupting, but
No,
I don't want people to lose this because I want to
Mhm.
really hone down these themes
Mhm.
and successful people.
I'm
Olivia
happy for
is
anything that I
yeah.
get.
Yeah. But that is important thing. I don't know if you're doing that subconsciously or not. You probably are just a beautiful, grateful person.
Thank you.
That gratitude is such a high frequency.
Oh, thank
It's like right below low or love, which is like the most powerful.
you.
When
Mhm.
we are all vibrational beings, we all have to literally look at ourselves as radio and antennas.
Mhm.
We are all emitting frequencies. So you are also showing that you have always had extreme gratitude for every part of your journey, which I think is so important, especially for today, where it's so easy for a lot of creators to get stuck in the instant gratification or wanting the big numbers and not being appreciative of what they have now. I love that you were saying you were like, 300. Like you made it a big deal, but that's so important because if you want to attract more of that to
Mhm.
you, you
Mhm.
have to be grateful for what you have now and feel the feeling of gratitude.
Agreed.
So I just want to really emphasize that because that's so true and so important in the beginning of and every part of the journey, but especially for beginners.
Yes, agreed. My sister was actually just telling me the other day. She was like, "You have a lot of self joy."
That is fantastic. And what other purpose to life than to be
This,
joyous? That's what we're all really looking for at the end of the day. We're all following things to get that feeling and it's so important and to feel it and realize you can feel it no matter where you're
yeah,
at. If you're in the present moment, you can feel joy. So I
and
love that she said that and noticed that about you.
even back then, right? I want to say like I had this plan, right, but I wasn't as big into manifesting as I am now, right? Because
Mhm.
one, I'm not used to these things happening, so I
Yes.
take it with, okay, this is what happened. Okay, that's it. Now I gotta go
Mhm.
next day. And I remember, so I had just finished the project, and I enjoyed every second of it. But then it also kind of helped build my following with my engagement of my audience because now they also know like she's serious, like it's like
They're
wow,
like,
look
"Oh, she's of another caliber artist."
here, or she's just like, oh, look at her go for it. And
Mhm.
like one of those things. So I go to U-Heart, I want to say like the week after, and I'm with one of my girlfriends. And this is during the time that this was actually the last time. This is so funny that I'm saying this. This is the last time that I have my Instagram notifications on. I don't have it on. It hasn't been on for 10 years. But I remember,
Oh, wow.
and I had an iPhone 4. I'll never forget it. I had an iPhone 4, and I remember I was walking with one of my girlfriends, and I just remember like my iPhone screen, just like it just, the LED light was just flickering, and there was
Okay.
like a lot of things coming down, a lot of things,
Oh.
just like, what the F?
Is my phone glitching? Like, what's
Yeah,
happening?
because I'm not popular. So I'm just like, what is this? So I look at my phone and I remember like this was something that I know even back then, like we lived for, right? And I'm even sure people live for this moment right now. But
Mhm.
I remember looking at my phone and I had to screenshot it so fast in order to make myself believe it. And I remember it just said, Big Sean liked your photo. Big Sean
Yeah,
video.
there you
Big Sean. And I was just
go.
like, oh my God, he saw
This
it.
was
This is
huge. This was
crazy.
very huge back then too. Big Sean was popping,
Yes.
popping too at this
Yeah.
time.
And even then, right? So
Hmm.
even that happened, right? I don't think anything else is gonna happen after that. I'm just like, oh, good, he saw it. He
Yeah.
just knows this. This.
Wow, look at how grateful. I love it. I love it.
And I'm just like, oh, this is great. Like he just knows somewhere in America there's a painting of him.
Yeah.
I was jogging at the park. This is now a week later after this. I was
Okay.
jogging at the park and I got an email, and it was a random email. And it just said, "Hi, Olivia. My name is such and such, and I am Sean's publicist."
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And the crazy thing about it, right, is that back then we didn't have the link in the bio or whatever. You just wrote whatever you wrote in your bio.
Yeah, I
So
was
my
gonna say,
email,
wow, you were set up with your email and
yeah.
whatnot too.
So my email was in my bio because
Smart.
at first I'm always like, "How the hell did you get this information?" Whatever. So he wrote me and he was just like, I want you to know that Sean and Kid Cudi are on tour right now and they're going to stop by in Connecticut and be at Mohegan Sun. And I would like to extend this invite to you so that you can give him your painting, but we would love to, gift you to go to the concert. And
Oh my
just want to share
gosh.
this, right? I'm like 22, 23,
Mhm.
and I lived to be the 18th caller on Huntington, and I've never been to a concert. And I was like, oh my God, front row?
Yeah.
I was like,
Wow.
what the F, front row? This is
Yeah.
nuts. Like, I've never been front row anywhere.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm here, I'm like, oh my God. And I've never been to a concert at Mohegan Sun.
Mhm.
So when I walked into the casino with the painting, they actually gave me a lot of problems because they weren't sure if there was like a bomb inside because it's so huge. And like,
Yes.
it's just like you're just going around in the casino, walking around. The security guards are stopping us, but
They were
they,
just so unused to something so
yeah, or like a person
uncommon.
walking with a big object.
Mhm.
So they placed it somewhere along the side in a hallway storage area until it was time for me to show it to him. But
Okay.
one of the things that like I'll never forget was his set was first before Kid Cudi's, and I remember him going on stage and he was saying to like the thousands of people out into the audience, he was sharing with them when he got signed to Good Music from Kanye West, and he
Mm.
was saying how I used to live in my girlfriend's basement, and he was just like, I didn't have any money and all that. I worked at a radio station. She would help pay for funds and all this and that. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, this takes like so much courage to, I mean, you are where you are,
Mhm.
but it's almost like it takes so much courage to like remember these things while you're on stage and share
Yes.
with people. So one of the things when it was time to meet him, and it was like the craziest thing because one, I've also never met famous people. So I'm
Yeah,
just,
this was your first celebrity interaction, let alone meeting and having
I
this
thought
whole thing.
I I thought I was the coolest person ever. I
Of
was
course.
I'm cool. Like I'm super cool. And I remember he asked me this question, and I'll never forget this encounter because it shifted a lot. He
Mm.
asked me, he was just like, "Oh my God, you did this?" He was like, "It's so amazing. I love it. I can't wait to hang it inside my house." And then he was just like, "Is this what you do?" And I was just like, No, I work at a nail salon.
Oh
And then
my
he was
goodness.
just like, "Oh, I thought this is what you do." He was like, "I thought you were an artist, a painter." And I'll never forget how he just came on stage and was vulnerable to all these thousands of people about where he was, right?
Mhm.
And I'll never forget giving him the short answer of what I do instead of telling him what I love to do, which is I love to
Mm,
create and I love to paint.
right.
And from there, after I left, I went back to work. My phone had died, and before I had to go back into work, I remember it was the next morning, my brother, he runs into my bedroom, and he was like, "Turn on your phone right now." And I'm like, "Why?" And I thought something bad happened.
Mhm.
And when I turned on my phone, I saw that I had like over 100 missed calls. And mind you, I'm not popular or anything like that. So I'm just like, what
Yeah, you're a
is
regular 22-year-old at this point who's calling you
it's
that
all of
much.
like all my friends, different friends at that, and they're just like, "Liv, they're talking about you on Hot 93.7." I'm here on the station. I'm like, "I made it to the radio station? This is so crazy." So even in that,
Oh my
right,
gosh, the
that
same
moment.
station that you were calling in on trying to get them tickets.
So they were talking about me on the radio station, and I'm here, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, this is so crazy!" Like every moment of my life there, I'm here, I'm just like, it just felt so unreal.
Mhm.
So then it was the next thing that he said. He was just like, um, his boyfriend runs into my bedroom too, and they're just like, "Liv, Big Sean posted a picture of you and him with your painting, and he tagged you." And
Oh my gosh.
me like 300 followers, the next day grew into 2,500 followers the next day. So then
Wow.
now I have 2,500 followers, right? And like, even at that point, everybody was trying to get over 1,000 followers. I was just like, oh my God, I got 2,500 followers. But I had so many different people from his audience following me, right?
Mhm.
Because remember, the crowd that I had, the 300 people, was more than likely people from Connecticut. Now
Mhm.
I have people from Chicago, LA, Houston, Miami.
Yes, Big Sean fans from wherever.
Yeah. So I go back into work the next day and I have to do a pedicure for an old lady. And oh my God, I remember this like it was just yesterday too. And normally when you what's it called, do a pedicure, you're supposed to wear a mask. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just didn't that day. And I think
Okay.
I probably had like a lot on my mind that day,
Mhm.
right? From everything happening. And the very first thing that you have to do when you do a pedicure is we cut toenails. So I go down to cut her toenail, and I just remember it hitting my mouth.
Oh my
And
gosh.
in that moment, I remember I looked at her and I stood up and I just told her and I just said to her, "I'm sorry, but I
Mhm.
quit." And
Oh, to the lady?
yeah, and then the my manager comes up to me and he saw it too. He saw that.
Wow, that was a visceral reaction.
Yeah, and he also saw that I was, like, mentally checked out too, because he
Okay.
saw, like, he heard everything happening about, like,
Mhm.
with, the painting and Big Sean.
Oh, okay.
He was asking me to. He was just like, "Hey, do you wanna take the day off?" And I was just like, "No." I was just like I gave him, like, that very cliche answer, "I'm gonna go follow my dreams."
But Olivia, this is amazing. Your life is, I love that you're living your life like a movie because that's really how all of us should see it. We are all the main characters of our movie.
Yeah, and
And you
everybody
have
is
a bomb
perfect.
ass movie already at this point where I'm going to be like, yeah, let me follow this girl and see what
Oh,
she's going to do.
thank you.
What in that moment were you feeling when
Oh
you
my
were
god.
able with such clarity to say I'm done? Was what was coursing through your body at that time?
It was one, I had already worked in, like, the nail salons, right? And even in that moment, right, it's like a moment where you don't enjoy your job. So I can only imagine, right, like, anybody now, you don't enjoy your job, and it almost seems like it could be the next thing that somebody says where you're like, "Man, it's out. I'm out." Like, so in that moment, right? She didn't do anything to piss me off. It was
Mhm,
just like something that happened. And I remember looking up at her and I remember her seeing me. And
mhm,
I just said to her, I was just like, "I'm so sorry, but I
mhm.
quit." And my manager comes up to me and he told me what I made for the day. I think it was like only $60. And when I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go follow my dreams," he gave me an extra 20 bucks. That's
Aw.
$80, but I'm also distraught because I also know like what I'm about to do is about to be the scariest thing ever, right? So I quit my job. I don't tell nobody, but I go and I drive my car and I park in front of a VFW, and I just remember I'm crying so bad. I'm
Mm.
22 years old and I'm crying. I'm screaming out loud
Mhm.
because it just seems like there's like this burden that you're carrying from working this dead end job that you don't like, and you're just like, I went to school for 5 years, why am I here, why is this happening? And
Mhm.
I just remember praying to God out loud and just saying, like, listen, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I'll do it with art. I just don't
Mhm.
want to do this anymore. I don't want to work for anybody anymore. And I was very even intricate and detail in it. I was telling him, like, if you want me to draw people's dogs or their tattoos, their logos, their newborns, because I wasn't, that was my first time painting, but I was still specialized in drawing. So
Mhm.
I'm here, I'm just like, whatever you want me to do, God, I'll do it. I just don't want to do this. And I'm
Mm.
so dead on serious about it, 10
Wow.
times down. So I go on Instagram, and, and everyone sees, like, that I have this following now because of Big Sean.
Yes.
And even then, I know people, they just thought it was so extreme and they thought it was extra, but it was like one of those moments that people don't do this because everyone's living for like a six-figure job, or they're living for like a high-end title. I go on Instagram and I tell everybody I quit my job today, and I quit my job to be a full-time artist. And if you need this or if you need that, you can contact me here, my email, my bio. And everyone's so supportive of it because they saw what happened with Big Sean. So I get, and this is like a lot, for the first week, I get 20 clients the first week. And I think, like,
Wow.
and my pricing back then, like, I think like everything was like $50,
Mhm.
$40, so people could afford it. But
Mhm.
people were just like, oh, she quit a job, let's support her. Like, let's put gas in her car, let's, make ends meet or this and that. So they go and they do that. And even from there, my following, it kept growing because these people now are from everywhere else, right? But then from there, all the other encounters with all these different celebrities, they were just like, hey, we just saw you did work for Sean. Hey, we just saw you did work for such and such. Hey,
Mhm.
we were referred to you by so and so.
Mhm.
And even then, even all the way up until now, 14 years later, it has become this, this road, right? Where it's not always smooth. Sometimes it's rocky, sometimes it's smooth for a long time, but it just has never ended. And it still hasn't ended. And I don't think it's gonna end anytime soon until I have made that complete mark of like my legacy on earth.
Right. Until you decide
Yes.
it'll be over is when it'll actually be over.
Yeah, until
And
it's
that
done.
and what does over even mean in the sense here in terms of like your art and painting as your career? Do you see yourself doing anything else in the creative
Oh.
realm?
So many
Mhm.
things. Like,
Mhm.
I know people know me as a painter, but I just feel like I'm such a heavy creative where it really does go into so many different things. It goes into so many different avenues. It goes into digital, it goes into photography, it goes into, like, I love being in front of a camera. I would love to model. I would love to, there's so many things that I am so open to doing, and I just know that with a little effort, with a little practice, I could definitely see myself acting one day. There's so many things
Yes.
that I would go into, but when I was doing a lot of fitness, and this is funny because this is the first time I'm actually saying this on a podcast. This is the first time I'm saying this out
Ooh,
loud.
the
But
MindShift Mami Show exclusive.
I know. This is the first time I'm saying this out loud, but everybody in the gym, or everybody when they see like a lot of my videos, they always ask, they're just like, Liv, what are you training for? Like, you're training, it's like you're training for something, like it just seems like you're training for something important or whatever.
Mm.
And I took a really high interest. I'm very into like MMA and all that. I'm really into like superhero like films and movies and all that. They drive me.
Mhm.
And I was training until I got hurt. I got hurt really badly, but
Mhm.
I was recovered from it. But I
Mhm.
was training to actually become a stunt woman.
Oh my gosh. How fun. Like, are you kidding? Like, do you need any more example of going after what is fun to you, what is maybe a little scary, maybe a little challenging, but something that you
Yeah.
want to challenge yourself for. I
Yeah.
had no idea. That is so,
I know a lot
how
of
did you
people
even get
say.
to that? How did you even decide?
Well, so one, right? I'm into MMA. I like fighting, and I
Mhm.
also like watching matches and all that. But I'm not looking to become like a champion or anything like that. And
Mhm.
I don't want to get realistically hurt. So then
Mhm.
I try to figure out, I'm like, why are you so into it? And I'm like, I actually like fighting to perform, not to kill
Oh.
people or like for
Yes.
people to hurt me.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But when I'm watching like films and all that, and I'm watching like, and of course, everything is, what's it called? Green screen. I,
Yes.
so I'm just like, oh, you don't like see yourself being like an actress or anything like that. I'm just like, that'll probably take more time. I'm sure it'll probably happen naturally, but I am somebody where
Absolutely.
I'm into the moves. I'm
I
into,
That is so genius. Actually, I can see you absolutely have. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to do the universe's work for it. I can't anyways, but I could already see that connection somehow. If you were to pursue stunt woman first, that is absolutely going to then open avenues for, other kind of acting work. I love that. I
yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah. So in order to do that, this is when I started, and the whole entire breakup thing happened.
Mhm.
But in order to do that, this is when I completely decided to, like, I already had it in my mind. I just didn't tell anybody
Mhm.
because it was going to be something so different from art, right?
Yes.
Because people take care of themselves all the time, but now when you hear like she's training to become a stunt woman, it's like one of those
It's
things.
like
It's just like,
but you raise an important point where when we are envisioning a future version of ourselves or us doing something new and different, I think it is important to make sure you are keeping that for yourself for a bit.
yeah,
Especially when it is something that is different than our norm, we need to make sure that we're making our foundation of self trust and self confidence stable enough and proving to ourselves, like, I can go to the gym and
yep.
do these extra strength training workouts
Mhm.
for, a couple more months. And I'm going to prove to myself and I'm going to start seeing results and I'm going to be stronger. And then that kind of helps us then be ready for that next level. Okay, like,
Become
now I'm
it
going to
becomes
tell
valid.
people, yes, and have that external, like, eyes on me, so it'll make me even
Mhm,
more motivated. I've said it out loud. I'm,
mhm.
making it happen. It's gonna be a reality,
And
and I'm
now
at
people are
that
like,
point.
"Oh, that makes sense. And all the stuff that you
Yes.
do, it makes sense."
And it's still like, "Oh, wow," but it's like, "Okay, now I'm really like," it helps you more because then you keep yourself more accountable anyways. So,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. So,
Thank
you
you.
but you got injured recently? Is that what?
So I was doing all this training and I was looking up the information of how you go into the stunt business.
Mhm.
And I last year, January 4th, I'll never forget it. And I'm so happy for push-ups. I really am so for push-ups. But I was doing a mural inside of a restaurant and I was on top of the ladder and the ladder fell. And I fell and I fell 12 feet and I hit
Oh
the
my
ground.
goodness.
So when I hit the ground, I landed on my chest, and
Uh,
they had to rush me to the hospital, and they had to operate.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
Olivia. I did not
so
know.
and it was so crazy because I was in the room by myself, but the staff there, they heard the ladder fall, and one of the employees there, I remember hearing her scream out loud, like, she fell.
Mhm,
I know she
mhm,
fell,
mhm,
and I'll never forget this. But when I fell on my chest,
mhm.
I had to pick myself up in a push-up form to drag myself to the wall, and I was just like, I'm telling you, like, you
Yes.
need to learn how to do push-ups. Like, and I was holding on to my ribs, so I was bad. My ribs, they weren't broken, but they were
Right.
badly like
Bruised
bruised.
and everything.
So bad.
12-foot fall is no
Yeah.
joke.
Oh my God, I didn't look at ladders the same for a long time. But I do want to say, so when I got injured, right? And then even afterwards, I was on like this very dedicated journey of fitness, right?
Mhm.
Even when I had like a whole, it was like a corset, like
Mm.
case to kind of keep in my
Mhm,
ribs, like keep them
mhm.
tight. And I was still working out at the gym, even if it was just like, and I was in a lot of pain. It was like
Wow.
sporadic spasms where it would just move and I would just yell out of nowhere. But I told myself, I was like, don't stop this journey. Like, I know you're injured and you are going to do what your body can do, but don't
Right.
overdo it. And then, but I still showed up like this at the gym every single day,
Wow.
holding my rib, and I'm like, I'm here. I showed up.
Oh my goodness, Olivia.
Because if I get
Wow.
in tears, I will show up in pain.
Yes. Well, there's so many wow, there's so many lessons there. And I think I love that you referenced back to your push-ups because that was again something that you had worked
Yeah,
on so much time before that. And it's just again a reminder of you never know when something's going to come in handy, especially even
yeah,
just your health or safety at that point.
yes.
And then your resilience, your mental resilience, as well as your physical, but your mental resilience at this time where
Mhm.
you were still showing up. So, and
Yeah.
this was your desire was so strong. What was pushing you to still, while you were obviously healing and being mindful of your ribs, you were still you still had the mindset to go and work on other aspects of your body for wow.
Absolutely, because I went through, I had just finished, well, I was still during the stage of cutting, right? My phase of cutting and where I'm shredding like my body fat. I had just lost 30 pounds
Mhm.
and I know an injury can set a lot of people back, right? And it
Yes.
mentally where they're just like, I can't go to the gym because I won't be able to do this or I won't be able to do that. And my mindset, although I validate that mindset,
Mhm.
my mindset is not like that. My mindset is do what you can until you're better. Do not show up. Like it's easy. I've seen myself. It's easy to fall down a rabbit hole, and I don't want to bring myself there because
Right.
it's like once you even get to like the opening of the rabbit hole, now you're just spiraling. You're just like going down.
Wow.
Everybody, it's everybody's fault. It's your fault too. And I'm here
Wow. Yeah.
I won't be the reason. I won't like I can't control what happens to me, but I won't be the reason why I didn't make it.
What is that moment in between having enough rest and taking care of yourself to going back? Or maybe even for you, what did that look like for you specifically? Like, was there a certain amount of days, certain amount of weeks?
Oh my
And
god.
then what is like your mental state? Like, do you catch yourself getting comfortable versus actually healing? But yeah, how was that process for you in terms of days and weeks?
So my recovery time because they were badly bruised
Mhm.
is 60 days. It was 2 months.
Okay.
But mind you, I go to the gym every single day, so now I'm not really able to operate the same way every single day, right?
Right.
But I want to say like I feel like when anybody is there, it's like you're in your head. You're in your head and there's a fear there, right? But it's almost like don't you can't you there something happened. Now it's like that time, right? Where you're right at this hole where you're just like, oh my God, but what happened if this happens? What happens if I make it worse? What happens this or whatever, right? And I think like when that happens and it's normal that that happens, you have to really look back and think about I showed up every single day for one whole year. And now just because I got hurt, what am I going to just sit out for 2 months?
Mhm.
I'm not about to sit out for 2 months. And to me, even I recently just injured my hand, right? And even then, I'm here, I'm just like, I know I'm injured, but my legs work, my other hand works.
Mhm.
Like it's like these things, there's these things that I say to myself where I'm just like there's other things that work, and if anything, work on those things right now. But
Mm.
if anything else causes you pain, you leave that shit alone. But everything else, you are able and you are capable. And I do believe in rest days and all that, but I also remember how the gym makes me feel. It makes me
Mhm.
feel like the most amazing person in the world. When I step in, when I leave there, the very first week after I got injured, I was in bed every single day, right? Because the spasms were really real and I
Okay.
would like stretch my arms.
Mhm.
I was on ibuprofen 1000 milligrams every single day.
Mm.
And I was like telling myself, I'm just like, I can't see how people could just be in bed every single day. I can't lay here. Like, I
Mhm.
just can't. Like, I need to walk around or do something. Like, this is just not it for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of you were already had built yourself in a place in terms of your routine and your habits
Yeah.
and what you knew made you feel good. That
Yep. That discipline was in order.
yes.
It
And
was
I
loud.
yeah, so along with the self-discipline, I love how you referenced the other parts of your body and being able to work on them because I think that's a great metaphor for
Yeah.
any part of our life when we are going through something such as whatever's holding us back. In your case, it was this injury, but in anybody else's case, whether it is an injury or something else, Olivia points out such a great thing of there is always another area in your life you can focus on. And in
Yeah.
fact, it's better for us when we are talking about our energy again, that we literally can't focus on the negative. When you focus on the negative, we attract more negative. But by
Yeah.
you kind of putting that to the side and focusing on everything else, okay, I can work out
Hmm.
my biceps, I can work out, my
Yep.
quads, whatever the case, I can do other things.
Hmm.
You were very much aiding your health and recovery by not
Yeah.
focusing on that and causing it to probably happen quicker, I
And you
would
become so
imagine.
stronger. You become so much stronger when you return.
Yes.
So it's like you didn't really lack anything because you're just like, I'm still moving my body. It's just this one part and all that. But if everything else is strong, this limb is eventually going to learn how to be the same. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. I
Yeah.
love it. Focusing on the positive and
You
where we
have
can
to.
have growth because we can always grow.
Yes.
Olivia, this has been such a
Oh,
wonderful discussion. Before we wrap up today, though, I'd love to ask you to give your top piece of advice when it comes to mindset and people pursuing their passions and understanding what that road may look like for them.
okay. I know you're in your head, but get out of your head. There is You have absolutely nothing to lose. There is nothing in this world you have to lose at all. Um, if people tell you no, okay. No, no means new opportunity.
Ah, I love that.
I was actually saying this at a different speaking event that I had to speak at, right? But being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. So if you're already doing it, congratulations. Um,
Mm.
you're gonna go on a whole entire journey of your life where you learn a lot about yourself. You're gonna learn a lot about people. You're gonna learn about how to talk to people. You're gonna learn how to receive from people. I feel like being an entrepreneur is one of the most life-changing things that you'll ever learn about yourself as opposed to having a traditional job. I'm gonna be honest with you,
Mm.
because the thing is, entrepreneurs, we're constantly, there's no stop to it. We're constantly innovative people. We're people that are problem solvers. We're people that we are super creative when it comes to marketing, coming up with specials, deals, sales. Um, there's no limit to an entrepreneur's mind because you own your business, but you are constantly always going to work to get your business to be bigger, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to compare it back to like the traditional job or whatever, but I just want to share, like, if you're doing it already, congratulations. Every single idea you have is amazing, by the way. Because the thing is, people normally get in their heads and they're just like, oh, this idea is already done, or this idea is stupid. Nothing is
Mhm.
stupid.
Mhm.
Nothing is stupid. There is somebody out there right now making millions of dollars off of a noodle inside of a pool.
Yeah.
Okay, like, there is nothing that is stupid. And like, you know how you were just saying, like, we're constantly on reels, right? Where people are effortlessly showing you what they paint. There's people on Instagram that paint rocks. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they do it in a way where it just brings them a lot of joy and you love it. You love seeing people happy and you love seeing people just kind of go for it, right? So
Mhm.
when I tell you go for it, just go for it. Make all the mistakes, keep failing. That's how you're going to keep learning and all that. And every single time when there is a win, always, always, always celebrate yourself because you made it through. You made it through, like that testimony, right? And there is going to be several more.
Absolutely. I love it. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. I can't wait to see what else you have on the horizon. It sounds like we might have another gala to
Yes,
look forward
yes,
to.
yes,
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
yes.
Wonderful. Great. So you guys can find Olivia again at Fiyabomb. So that's Fayabomb 0 on social media. And I will see you guys in another episode of the MindShift Mami Show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Keep
guys.
shifting those minds, and
Yeah.
we'll talk again.
Oh, I love this.